Hey everybody, sad news to report. I've been following the 3 missing girls that were with their dad, and I did notice last night that after I did my post that the endangered missing persons alert was canceled and their bodies were found. I don't have the exact details of what happened. Their dad is currently at large and is wanted for murder. So I will look it up and let everybody know. But this is incredibly sad news, and I am in shock. I know that this didn't come in as an Amber Alert, and I know that it didn't meet the specific thresholds of an Amber Alert because it wasn't, I shouldn't say they weren't in danger per se. It's not like they were kidnapped. That's from what I read. I don't know the specifics. However, they were found deceased, and maybe we need to relook at the Amber Alert criteria. But according to Fox News, I'm reading here right now, the 3 Wenatchee girls ages 5, 8, and 9 reported missing since Friday, the May 30th, were found dead on Monday. Authorities are actively searching for the girls' father, Travisdecker, 32, who is wanted on 3 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping. Decker, described as a former military member with extensive training, should not be approached by the public due to potential risk. So let's see if it says why. So my car drives itself, but I'm sitting in and out of traffic. The police department expresses its sincere and deep heartfelt condolences to the family, stating they have been in close communication throughout the investigation. It goes through the backstory that they were reported missing Friday, May 30th at 9:45 p.m. after their mother told police they had not been returned following a planned visitation with their father, Travisdecker. He was homeless, living out of his pickup truck. Officers immediately began searching for Decker and the children. Checks of local motels yielded no results, and information from local FLAC database indicated the truck had traveled westbound on Highway 2 from Wenatchee on May 30th. The Washington State Patrol was contacted Friday night to request an Amber Alert, but it did not meet the required criteria. I don't know what that criteria is. On Saturday, the Wenatchee police detectives provided additional information, and an endangered missing person alert was issued. So throughout the weekend, they worked with local law enforcement partners to check possible locations. With assistance from FBI detectives, they narrowed the search area somewhere between Icicle Road and Chumstick Road near Leavenworth. So on June 2nd, a warrant was obtained for Decker's arrest on 3 counts of first-degree custodial interference. This is so sad. I can't believe this. On Monday, June 2nd, resources including the Chelan County deputies, detectives, and emergency management and a Homeland Security helicopter joined the search. Around 3:45 p.m., the county deputy located Decker's unoccupied truck near Rock Island Campground, accessed by Icicle Road. During an immediate search of the area, we have an updated picture of him too. During an immediate search of the area, the bodies of the 3 girls were discovered, but Decker was not found. updated. So I had this one posted. That's an updated picture. Or another picture. I don't know if it's updated, but another picture. Shortly after the discovery, the East Cascade SWAT team activated and began searching for Decker. And this is where I saw that they closed down that specific road in that area. I saw that last night. There was one report, and I didn't know the source. I didn't know if it was true or not. But then this morning I did notice that the alert was canceled. And then, there was no reason. There wasn't a reason why the alert was canceled. And this was just posted an hour ago. The Washington State Patrol Crime Scene Response Team was requested to process the scene and search Decker's truck. Crime scene processing is expected to wrap up sometime Tuesday, June 3rd. What you can do, authorities are asking for the community's assistance in locating Travis Decker. Decker is described as 5 feet 8 inches tall, 190 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a light colored shirt and dark shorts. He is a former military member with extensive training. It is unknown whether Decker is currently armed, and he may pose a significant risk if approached. Anyone believes they have seen Decker or knows anyone, call 911 immediately. Due to safety concerns, the public is advised not to attempt to contact or approach Decker. This is just so incredibly sad. This reminds me, and the school actually has a letter as well that they sent to all their students. Their kids must still be in school. This is where, and I don't know, I'm trying to say multiple things at once. I don't know what the custody rights were or what the situation was. I know, I'm really surprised that he had any type of visitation, considering he did not have a home. I did read somewhere, and I don't know the source, and I can't remember where it was, that supposedly he was supposed to have them for 3 hours. I could be completely wrong on that, but the sad thing is that our court, it is so incredibly hard. Now, granted, this is dependent on the state, right? So it is incredibly hard to get full custody of children, especially in a situation where the children have not been harmed. So prime example, in Iowa, my children could potentially have gotten, their dad could have gotten custody of them. The only way, even though he abused me, the only way for them to not get for him to not get custody was he had to physically do something to the children, which is not acceptable. If you are a chronic alcoholic, whatever it was, in my situation, chronic alcoholic, you can't control your bowel movements, you don't have a place to live, and you hit your wife with a car, don't you think that in all reality you probably should not have custody, any custodial rights, or any visitation with your children, unless it is supervised visitation? And I had to fight tooth and nail to get custody of the children. And it wasn't even permanent. It was only for a year. Now, Tennessee is different. Arizona is different as well. As far as I know, Tennessee, I contacted an attorney. Arizona, I just read about it online, so I don't know how true that is. Tennessee is different. The attorney here said that If somebody is found guilty of domestic abuse, which Nate was, then all parental rights are terminated. He would not get any custody or any visitation. So the only issue with that is I had to wait 6 months in order to get established residency. So once we moved to Tennessee, I had to establish residency here. So I had to wait 6 months, and that's covered under federal law. And the problem being is that I was being harassed. He found out where we were located, meaning our exact address in Tennessee, and he started harassing us in Tennessee. So we had to move. Anyway, the big thing though is that even in that harassment, in that continued harassment status, what amazed me is that I contacted the Iowa, so my restraining order was with Iowa. And I contacted local police in Tennessee when I thought he was physically at the house. They could not physically find him. I didn't have evidence he was there, but he was sending police officers to our residence. And he had packages delivered to the residence. So I didn't know where he was. So I called local police. They searched the area. They did not find him. And then I had evidence from his phone that he was in Iowa still. Unless he had left his phone there. But I did have evidence that he was in Iowa still. And so the Tennessee police said I needed to contact Iowa because that's where he's located, and that is where my restraining order was from. And I contacted Iowa, and then they told me I have to call Tennessee. And I got an officer on the phone, police officer from Iowa on the phone, along with a police officer from Tennessee, he was at my actual physical address, and they talked, and the officer from Tennessee said, why would I put a warrant out for this person's arrest and extradite them to Tennessee, because then he's going to be closer to her when he's harassing her? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, the police officer agreed, and so he went ahead and he issued a warrant in Iowa. Now, in the meantime, Iowa, even though a warrant's issued, even though they knew where he was located, unless they actually went and picked him up for something, or unless the harassment became criminal harassment, meaning it happened multiple times, they were not going to go and pick him up. So every time he broke the restraining order, I had to constantly call. I had to report it. I had to go through the same thing. Why are you not reporting it through Tennessee? I went through the same thing over and over again. And then they would issue a warrant. And then I would say, is this enough to go and pick him up? No, it's not enough. He has to consistently do it more and more. So there were 4 warrants for his arrest. 4. Meanwhile, at the same time, I would call them and I would say, can you verify how many warrants there are? And they could not tell me. For his protection, they couldn't tell me how many warrants. Even though you would look on the website and it would say, or no, I looked on the website for warrants. It didn't show the warrant on the website, Scott County website. And I was saying, why isn't it showing? It's because he hasn't been actually, like, quote unquote, found guilty. Because there was a warrant for his arrest, and then he has to go to jail, and then he has to appear for a judge, and then he has to have the actual plea agreement, or not plea agreement, he has to plea whether he's guilty, not guilty. And then if he doesn't show up, then those warrants are actually on their website. It was a whole chain of events. But they couldn't, when I would called in, they couldn't tell me the warrants that they had for him, because I wanted to make sure every time that I reported something, I wanted to make sure that a warrant was issued or that it actually was documented somehow. But they wouldn't give me that information because they said they had to protect his rights. because of the order of protection. And I'm thinking, I'm so confused right now. I'm the one being victimized, and I'm calling to report it, but you can't call and report something that I called in. And I guess somebody abused the system at one point, so they had to change the rules, law, I don't know. Anyway, but yet I was told to report absolutely every violation I was told to report. But then I would call to report it, and they seemed irritated that I was even calling to report it. But the district attorney herself told me, report every violation. This is a very long story into 3 girls missing, now found, passed away. But it is this, what I'm trying to get to is that the system is so convoluted. It is so messed up. The laws are just, they protect the victim to some extent. I'm blessed I was able to leave Iowa legally. I legally left Iowa with the children. Laws protected me there. But from a harassment standpoint, found guilty of domestic abuse, and he continued to break the law and to harass myself and the children, and there was nothing that the state of Iowa could do to protect me. It was just a nightmare. And now these poor girls, again, I don't know their situation, I just know they were recently divorced, but now these girls have passed away. And it is just so incredibly sad. So hopefully they find travisdecker. Hopefully somebody, if you hear anything, see him, whatever it is, call 911 immediately. Again, do not approach him. Do something. Let's find him. Let's get him into jail. It was a white Chevy pickup. He wasn't, although they have his car now, so he's not in that car anymore. So who knows where he is. But I can't even imagine being in this situation that their mom is in. I remember reading an article this morning too, or no, I saw it, I saw an interview, and she was stating that it's very unlike him to not return the children. And I don't know if it's because of the laws, but I just feel like